Coming there a long time, and for East Coast, Northeast Coast folks, a lot of times it's Florida or Texas, and my wife's pushing towards Texas. Me, I could live in my car, but my wife, she calls the shots sometimes.
I'll tell you things like, have you ever been to Wimberley? Just a little bit south of Austin. Gorgeous little area, cute community. Not too far from Austin. Something worth looking at. Dripping Springs.
Dripping Springs, I've heard of, yeah.
A little higher end area, just outside the Austin mix itself a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice little area. And we can share that later on if you want. I mean, we hang out.
Yeah, we'll have to connect. I'll be down there this winter for sure. So.
Oh, if we all lived in Philadelphia, we'd want to come to Texas or Arizona too in the winter.
100%.
For the great tax breaks we get here, versus Philadelphia.
Yes, that is true.
All right, guys, we got Kevin Hill, our missing link. We are going to get started. Kevin, I'm going to give you co-host, so if you want to share something at any point during the live, you definitely can. So let me give everybody the lay of the land. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask 3 questions of everybody on here. If you guys don't know these guys, the goal is for you to get to know them because they are going to be the creative finance panelists at BPCon 2022. Super exciting. I have been told that is the most requested panel to go to. The other panels still have some empty spots. Ours had to be reserved. You had to reserve, and ours is booked all the way out. So what we wanted to do tonight, guys, is give you, if you can't make it out to BPCon, we want to give you guys some love, show you what our panel, kind of a little teaser of what our panel is going to be next month in San Diego. And you guys, I know Scott Horn really, really well. Zach is a new friend of mine. David Van Horn is somebody I've been learning from for a couple of years. He didn't know it, but I learned a lot from this man. And Kevin Hill is also a new friend of mine. So we're going to ask everybody about their business. We're going to ask a couple of things about creative finance and what everybody's thoughts are coming into the next 24 to 48 months. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up to Q&A. We'll be on here from 3:10, which is what it is right now, until 4:30. So we've got an hour and 20 minutes with you guys. Should have a lot of fun. And I imagine we'll probably only get through about 6 questions. So if you are one of the people that come in towards the end and there's 85 people with their hands raised, probably not a good idea if there's more than 6 people. You don't even tease yourself. We're not going to get to you. We'll give you answers to other people's questions. We'll give you some love, but we probably won't get to you. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome everybody. We got Zach, Scott Horn, David Van Horn, and Kevin Hill. I want to start with Kevin Hill because Kevin, right out of the gate, you and I have just become recently introduced. Tell us about your business, what you guys are doing, what's your main focus. You wake up in the morning, what's the first business? Because most everybody on this panel has more than one business, right? Multiple businesses. So what's the business you wake up in the morning and you're excited about working on? Takes up 80% of your day. What is your focus?
Yeah, I guess I'll talk about Aloha Capital then. So I'm a partner COO of Aloha Capital. Aloha Capital is kind of born out of being a real estate investor and private lender. We were really funding turnkey operators who were pumping out rental properties, which is a good lead into Zach's business. But we formed a fund back in 2015. I guess that officially makes us a hard money lender now, and really built out a team and loan programs across fix and flip, BRRRR, rental properties. We have a multifamily value add team and program, as well as a residential development team.
Okay, so if I need money, you're a good person to go to. Is there a state that you are not doing lending in?
There's a small handful, yeah. So we're nationwide minus a handful of states, the Dakotas, working on a couple states that require more licensing, like Nevada, in the midst of opening up Utah. But in almost every other state you could think of, including Hawaii, which is where we were founded, and even Alaska, we are lending.
Love it. Okay, so you guys, why is this important to learn from a lender? First and foremost, I see lenders have their ear to the rails a lot faster. They hear the news, they hear what's going on, they adapt. They have to adapt because they're lending money on deals. Especially on fix and flips, you guys have to be sensitive to what's going on with interest rates. You have to be sensitive to what's going on in the market. Now we went from, in Phoenix, we had 4,000 listings. In March, we now have 19,000 listings just a mere 6 months later. So Excited about hearing what you have to say about the market that's happening, what you guys are going to be focusing on, things that you guys might be changing. Let's jump over to Mr. Scott Horn, a good friend of mine. Scott, how you doing? Why don't you tell everybody about your business and what your focus is right now?
How long do we have, right?
Right.
So as brief as I can put it, so we are real estate and title attorneys in the Texas marketplace. Our law office is focuses primarily on the creative finance world. We focus on foreclosures for our investor clients and landlord tenant scenarios for them as well.
I thought that creative finance is illegal though.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we all do it. We all look great in orange. No, it's not illegal at all. It's our property code allocates for it. Our contracts allocate for it. Not a problem. You just have to do it right. Know the compliance. In Texas, guys, they've added a few more things we got to think about along the way that we can get into later if they want to. But it's just understand what the rules and regulations are and do it. It's easy from there. And comply.
Okay, so is your main business? You've got GOAT funding. You guys also do some hard money lending as well. You guys have your title business on top of that. In your lending business, last time I had a conversation with you, you said you guys are coming up with some unique lending strategies. I don't know if it was that you guys were lending in second position or what you guys were doing. Is there something new you're doing right now in one of your businesses?
We are considering that. So we are traditional hard money lenders. I think we are different than your average lender here in the Texas marketplace because I think we know more than the average lender because we are the investor first and foremost. Also, just to Kevin's point earlier and yours about watching the marketplace, keeping your finger on it. Of course, we're seeing a lot of the lenders who aren't necessarily investors pull back, reducing items, reducing loan to values, things of that nature out there. So you asked a question about some things that are new out there. We've kind of stepped out, put our toe in the water and doing some second liens for subject to transactions along the way, just because you don't find sub-2 deals right now that don't require capital to get into, reinstatement of loans, rehab, et cetera. And so long as the numbers work, and this is something we would want to buy for our own account and we can control that first lien, we will be looking at those kind of loans downstream here.
I love it. All right, great. Scott Horn, everybody. A lot of people in my world know Scott Horn. Look right there. Jonathan Newsom says, Scott Horn, I've closed a few transactions with Mr. Horn, super knowledgeable. We love him. My whole sub-2 community loves him. We love Susan way more than Scott, but Scott's pretty cool too. Kevin Hill.
She's the brains of the operation, so I let her keep that title out there.
Yes, she is. Kevin, I have a lot of people asking your website information. Please make sure you fill that in the side chat. I want to make sure people can connect with you, all of that kind of stuff. Same thing with everybody. Feel free. Any of the panelists on here, if you guys want to drop your company's name, your Instagram, your YouTube while the other panelists are talking, please give everybody all your information. Now, Zach, you're new to my world. We recently had a good hour-and-a-half long Zoom, and I was just floored. I was excited. You and I are going to collab a lot in 2023. Tell everybody what your business looks like right now.
Awesome. And thanks for having me, Pace. You've grown such an exceptional community. I see these hats popping up everywhere, man. It's like every networking event, they're just everywhere. So, I mean, that's branding. That's awesome.
We're trying, bro.
Yeah, most definitely. You're doing a great job. So
I just want to know if he's into the CBD stuff nowadays. Is he growing things with
that? Actually, when we get to what my business looks like today, it's all it is CBD. I switched out of real estate. I'm just CBD.
Okay.
I love it. Oils and
or
all.
the byproduct thereof.
Right.
So my name is Zach Leemaster. I'm the owner and founder of our Turnkey business, Rent to Retirement. Essentially, what we do is identify the best markets throughout the U.S. to invest in. And we've done this personally just through our own investing for many years. And we build our systems and teams in these locations to ultimately either rehab properties with our local teams or build, lease, and manage properties for our investors to easily scale and diversify their portfolio across state lines in different areas. That's our core business. Last year, we did just around 1,000 properties across 11 different markets. These are mainly single family and small multi.
Bro, when you told me that 1,000 properties, I don't think people truly understand this. We've got 360 people on Zoom and we've got a couple hundred people over on YouTube. So we got about 600 people. I want people to understand truly what is a turnkey business. And are you guys just finding these deals or are you guys building these deals?
About 30% of what we do, I mean, and it's kind of all the above, right? I mean, this is really about building our local partnerships in these areas of rehabbers and builders to follow our certain criteria. But about 30% of what we do now is build to rent. And that's mainly single family in the Southeast in areas where there's high demand. And that's a little bit of a different ball game as supply chain issues and things have kind of slowed down construction. But definitely we've seen huge equity potential.
Yeah, but if you built 30% of your 1,000 doors last year, you built over 300 houses. That is something that is amazing for this panel, and I'm sure people have some really great questions regarding that. Not only supply chain, but what types of things are you seeing in the market? So I'm excited about having you here. Thank you so much. David Van Horn, the note specialist, the best. Out of everybody I learned notes from, I enjoy you the most. I just love your ability to articulate about notes. So tell everybody, what do you do and what are you known for, Mr. David Van Horn?
Oh boy, what am I known for? Depends what circle I'm in, I guess. Well, currently we manage several real estate and mortgage investment funds. We have 27 employees. We're in the Philadelphia area. We're approaching 700 million in AUM, assets under management, and we're just under 300 million in equity under management. So we raise a lot of capital and we deploy a lot of capital, and mostly into NPLs, which are first liens. We do buy a lot of institutional debt. We don't originate anything. So we buy existing mortgages, commercial mortgages as well. And then we do some commercial real estate, some multifamily as well. So,
David, I think people that are just jumping into real estate for the first time, when they hear you say you buy mortgages, it is it's impossible for people to truly understand what that business model is. Why are companies like banks, who's selling you mortgages and why are they selling you mortgages?
Well, banks aren't in the collections business. Banks aren't in the real estate business. So I guess last year we bought just right around 350 million in non-performing loans. Now that's with leverage. So we'll raise private equity. We marry that with some institutional capital, and then we go out and purchase. And then usually we're purchasing multiple trades heading towards securitization. So it's almost like dollar cost averaging, where we go out and make trades, we buy, accumulate. Once we get up to about 200 million, we can start to go down the path of securitization. What that means is just a fancy way of saying you're refinancing a pool of mortgages. And by doing that, you can get into fixed financing, and then you can de-risk it. You're taking off some risk, and then it's winding down that fund. It takes about 33 to 36 months, and then you turn around and do it again. Literally. I understand everything he's saying, and I love it. And I know all the other panelists understand everything he's saying, but what he's talking about. So for people that are brand new in here, what is a non-performing mortgage or a non-performing note? Is somebody that's no longer paying their mortgage, right? Yeah, it's that simple.
Why would you want to buy that? That sounds crazy. Why would I want to buy something that somebody else stopped paying on? What is the benefit to you as a note investor, essentially?
I guess the first thing that attracted me to it was, anytime I could buy something at a discount with a high yield with collateral is the key. That kind of changed my view of that world. So, but I think it all depends. There's no bad notes, just bad note prices, right? Just like real estate. There's no bad real estate, just bad prices, right?
Love it. Okay, great. So we have a very well-rounded panel here. There's not many parts of the real estate market that have not been touched. We've got lenders, we've got note investors. Zach's over there building new houses. I don't want to touch new builds anymore. I used to do them for a long time. Leave it to smarter people than me. I don't want to be an attorney. They're way smarter than me. I'm direct to seller. My main business model is I'm direct to seller. We cold call, we text, we accumulate. This year, we will accumulate over $200 million in real estate in our portfolio alone. Primarily, over 90% of that has been done through seller finance or subject to. So you guys have a pretty wide array of questions that you can ask. Now, the second question I want to jump into for everybody is I'm going to tell everybody to warm up for this question, because I can tell you everybody's going to have a different answer. David Van Horn's going to think completely different than the way I'm going to think. But here's the question. For the people that are brand new, right? We've got nearly 400 on Zoom, couple hundred over on YouTube. 600 people are here. There's no way all 600 of these people have done their first deal. So in the market conditions we're looking at it, this is a two-part question. I'm going to ask the first part of this question, we'll go around, and then I'll ask the second part of the question, we'll go around again. So the first part of the question is this: is right now a bad time to get started in real estate investing amidst everything that's going on with rising interest rates, economic downturn, turmoil, all of that kind of stuff? Let's start randomly with Mr. Zach.
Right now is the essential time to get started. Pace. Obviously, there's all sorts of stuff in the media we always hear about. Real estate is always a good investment. You just need to sometimes change your strategy. Since we're talking about creative financing right now, creative financing is going to give us a lot of unique advantages with sellers that think they need a certain price to sell, and the market's not going to dictate that. So right now is an exceptional time to buy, especially as we're seeing super high inflation, right? It's always a good time to invest. You just need to be strategic about your approach in acquiring real estate.
Okay, got it. So Zach, I will follow up with this. You say that this is an essential time and that there's unique advantages. I'll follow up on the second part of this question. Mr. Horn, are you seeing more activity at your title company, or are you seeing less activity? Is this a scary time to invest, or should people be investing right now?
Well, let's skip outside of title per se, because title stays consistent in the investing world. But as you know, we buy houses all the time. As you said, we lend on houses. We buy houses creatively. We buy with cash. Here in the Texas marketplace, I've been told that we have some 8 million Texans who are behind on their mortgages and default.
8 million?
8 million, and some 30% additional to that who are in forbearance of some type. And that should, scare the heck out of us in some regard, but it's also opportunity if you learn to do the game right. As Zach said, you have to adjust your strategies a little bit and understand the game. I think this is going to lead itself to an awesome opportunity to buy houses creatively, because I think there's going to be a lot more people who need help. And learning that strategy is going to be viable. However, I think the investors have to learn they're going to need cash or private investment lending for second liens of some type out there, because I think there's going to be a lot of arrearages that have to be dealt with. But at the same token, and in every marketplace, and I'm probably a little bit older than most of the guys on here right now. I was doing this back in the late 80s, early 90s, when banking rates were 8, 9%, and our owner finance rates were 12, 13%. So the game just changes and adjusts along the way. It doesn't go away. You just have to adapt with the marketplace and understand that. Everybody needs a home, right? Not everybody needs a place to work. And we've said that for years and years and years, and of course, not anticipating that COVID would prove that out, but it did. And so there's always a need for homes out there. And learning how to plug into the creative finance world, where if the mortgage marketplace changes, rates get too high, et cetera, can we still buy creatively and sell creatively? The answer is absolutely yes. And I think this is the time. More and more of this is going to be coming available. I listened to David buying the defaulted mortgages that are out there in the marketplace, and there's a huge amount of defaulted mortgages being held by banks right now. What they're doing with them, I have no idea, but it's huge from what I understand. And you need guys like David to buy them, get them back into the market in some format. But this is the time to learn the game, learn the strategies that we all employ, and how to push that out. And not only do that, but sometimes you can buy you with the hard money from Kevin or ourselves or whomever. You can either rent it or sell or finance it on the back end, because that need will never go away. It's just how can we make our costs and expenses easier to navigate where we can make money in the moment.
Love it. Okay, so Scott, you said a couple of amazing things. 8 million people are in foreclosure or behind on their payments in Texas alone. In default, plus 30% of them are in forbearance. instead of it being scary, it can be scary, but if you look at it as an opportunity, you learn some of these strategies. I'm going to follow up on both Zach, Scott, and everybody else on this panel with a second part to this question. So get ready. And I'm going to tie it into what everybody's saying in part one. So Kevin, what are your thoughts on the market? Is now a good time to invest? Are you guys still seeing people borrow money? Are you seeing a slowdown? What are you seeing? Educate us and fill in the gaps for us.
Sure, I'll give a lender's perspective. I mean, we're seeing lots of loan submissions, funding lots of loans. I mean, from a lending underwriting perspective, we really like to look at the exit and way heavier a rental exit. And we really like rental exits where at the end of that project, it's going to cash flow with some type of permanent financing on the property. So we like to see those. We're still doing plenty of loans on a flip exit. So that would be one side. The other side would be, you know, as the leader of a lending company, going back to 2014, 2015, we used to finance a lot of foreclosure and sheriff sale transactions. And so we're sharpening our pencils on that again to be prepared for likely getting into that, you know, in the coming months. And
how
years.
is that different than, you know, what you guys are currently doing right now with fix and flips or BRRRR strategy deals? How is it a little bit different when you're going into foreclosure lending and sheriff sale lending? Is it that you're working with the auction houses, or what's the difference?
A couple things. Usually the buyer is coming to you with just a few days advance notice without it being under contract. They're bidding on it. And you're basically giving prelim terms of this is what we can do. So that's the time crunch of it. And if you're doing a lot of that, you get a lot of, you know, emails from people saying, I'm doing this in 2 days. Are you ready for it? The other part of it from a lender's perspective is title. So there's not always a clear title, and someone can opine that's owns a title company, but a lender might have to do a little bit of additional maneuvering to have some paperwork in place before title's clear, because the owner of the property can redeem and do different things, you know, depending on the state and depending on the county, you know, 30, 60 days later, where you no longer, you know, the buyer, the winner at auction doesn't actually own the property anymore. So how do you get your money back as a lender? So there's definitely some nuances of it. And we are basically getting prepared to do some of that with our repeat clients.
Okay, got it. I love this perspective. And I also, as I hear you speak, I remember when I was first starting out, you panelists don't know my story. A lot of my community does, but I fix and flipped 7,000 homes for other people as a contractor before I ever did a fix and flip myself. Interesting to think about. You know, the reason why I never did one myself is because, no joke, I'm not exaggerating. This is how unintelligent I am, Kevin. I didn't know where money came from in order to do fix and flips. Meanwhile, I was working for Open Door, OfferPad, all these companies, and I was flipping all their houses, had 250 employees doing all the flips. I didn't know where the money came from. And when somebody said hard money, I thought it was coming from somebody in Pennsylvania that's like a mobster. Like when we hear hard money, it doesn't sound like it's an approachable resource for capital. Do you ever feel like people have a hard time speaking to you because you're a quote unquote hard money lender? And what advice do you have for people that are brand new? Is it okay to have a good relationship with a lender? Should they have a good relationship with a lender? Do you guys bite, or are you guys looking for new business?
Super interesting question. I mean, I wish that term did not exist. It's kind of a silly term. I would look at any lender, hard money, private, you know, and I've had this conversation many times, is we are investors. It's just, instead of us bringing equity into the project, we're bringing debt. And we're typically the biggest investor in any project. So, you know, on a fix and flip deal where we're bringing 80, 90% of purchase and 100% of rehab, we're the biggest investor in your project. So I don't think you should treat your lender like they're a bad guy out there to steal money from you. We're investing money via debt.
I've literally never heard of somebody ever say it that way. You're the largest investor in my project. You guys are investing your money through a debt instrument rather than equity, which means you're not an owner of the deal. you're lending money to us. I love that perspective. Thank you so much. David Van Horn, your turn. What are you seeing, especially in your part of the market, buying up? If you really think about it, it's like people have broken down cars and you're coming in and buying these broken down cars, switching out the engines and selling them for more money. You're essentially buying defaulted vehicles, right? People that are in default. What are you seeing and what are you preparing for in this upcoming market?
Well, I'm kind of in Scott's camp because I've been around a while. I started in the mid to late 80s as well. Rates were dramatically different. When I look back to my first investment property, I bought it in 1989. I bought a retail deal, but I also held it for over 31 years. I held it and then I sold it. And, it more than tripled or whatever, quadrupled in value, the cash flow the whole time. So I think people get stuck on when is a good time to buy. It's always a good time to buy. It's how you buy more so than when you buy. And my son's just buying a house this week and it's his fourth property, my oldest son. And, he originally offered like 140 on the place and the lady wouldn't take it. And she listed it. It was a private deal at first and she wouldn't take his deal. And it was a couple months ago. And then she put it on the market. It didn't sell. And he comes back to it this week and he's offering her 120 and he got her to assist 2 points to pay down his rate because the rates went up. So it's just, you just have to adjust. And, we just closed on a multi-deal back in June and the rates were going up and we renegotiated the deal with the seller and we got them to come down $1 million in the price, right? Well, that would have never happened if the rates didn't go up, right? So
that would have never happened in the summer of 2021 for sure.
Right. So, it's just you just have to take the opportunity and shuffle the deck, right, Scott? You just have to go back and say, it's time to change the terms. Because of the market's changing or whatever. So
love it. Okay, great. So here's my follow-up question to all of this. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask this question. We've got maybe 12 more minutes. We're going to open up to Q&A. We've got Christopher, Dennis, Victor, the Connector. We've got Travis, Damian, Tyler Townsley, a whole bunch of amazing people in here asking and having their hands raised. If you guys are on YouTube, I'm sorry. I did give you guys the Zoom link, but you didn't see it. So you decided to get the notification bell from my YouTube and pop into the YouTube. So sorry, guys, you won't be able to ask any questions, but everybody here on Zoom will try and get to as many questions as possible. And now that we have a woman that just raised her hand, Laura Smith, we will get to you, Laura, for sure. In fact, I might even start with you first in front of all these knucklehead men, okay? Second follow-up to this question, we're going to start with who we started with before, Zach. Zach, I'm brand new, okay? I want to get my hands on a deal in the next 30 days. Is it possible? This is the same question for everybody else. I'm not going to change the question. I'm newer. I understand, a little bit. I understand what title and escrow, and I understand the basics of real estate. Is it possible for me to get my hands on a deal without using my own money? And if so, how would you go about doing that?
It's always possible and always relevant, whether it's today, 6 months from now, a year from now, a year ago. Although I do think it is easier now than the past 2 years, but it's the same process, Pace. You have to make offers, right? You have to set your criteria. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to know how to direct market to those type of individuals and start creating those opportunities because they're not just going to land in your lap. If you're involving a lender, then start creating those relationships, like with Kevin, although I do think he is relatively close to a mobster. Their office is about 15 minutes from me. And we've, side note, Kevin and I have done a lot of business over the past few years, and he's helped create my business to a large degree. So definitely check out, what Aloha can do in terms of funding these, whether it's short, long-term funding or whatever, but you need to set your criteria and you need to start creating those opportunities. Just a real quick case study. We were under contract with using conventional financing on a multi-tenant commercial retail center in Colorado Springs, who lost their majority tenant, and the bank would no longer fund that deal. And so we had to reverse engineer that and actually approach the seller while we were already under contract to do a seller finance to acquire it, and then take them out in 2 years when we release that space, because lending is tightening up in a lot of cases and through the traditional method. So you have to think outside of the box and you have to create those opportunities, but you got to put in the work to go find them.
Yes, sir. I love that. Okay, so here's what I'll do for everybody. Scott mentioned foreclosures. We've seen foreclosures go way up, way fast over the last 6 months or so. It's going to get way worse, especially with interest rates. I think they're going to go up on September 21st. Everybody's talking about Jerome Powell popping up another 0.75%. I think it is going to happen. I'm 99% sure. And you're going to see more foreclosures. You're going to see more of a downfall in the market. You're going to see a softening. I don't think we're going to have a catastrophic crash, but who knows? I don't have an 8-ball. If I'm starting out brand new, here's where I would personally start. I would start with foreclosures. I would either cold call, I would text, I would door knock, I would put a note on their door, whatever it is, I would get in front of people that are in foreclosure. Okay. There's a handful of websites that you can do this on. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. I know Scott teaches a lot of this stuff as well, but foreclosuresdaily.com is a really good website for that. Your guys' county recorders, like our county gives foreclosures every day, fresh. So you can go right down to the county, start with foreclosures. Okay. I've got a brand new, somebody that's new in my world. Her name is Alexis Morgan. She's 21 years old. And as I'm telling her about foreclosures, how you can go get a deal with no money, what she says, she's like, really? I go, yeah. I mean, if you want a deal tomorrow, go knock doors. That's what I told her. 2 days later, she's got a deal. And I go, man, how'd you get the deal? She goes, I went out and knocked foreclosures. What you told me to do. Okay. So you got to go and find an avenue to talk to these sellers and get something under contract and submit offers. The way that I would do it is I would get a battle buddy. I would find somebody in the side chat. I would find somebody on YouTube Live. I would find somebody in one of our Facebook groups. Guys, do any of you guys have Facebook groups that people could coordinate and jump into? Speak freely. I don't know if you guys have Facebook
We'll put
groups
our information in the side chat.
Please, Zach, please. David Van Horn, do you have a Facebook group?
No, we have a distressed mortgage group on LinkedIn though.
Okay, great. Can you put a link in there?
Sure.
What about you, Kevin? Do you guys have a Facebook group?
We do not.
But you have a website.
We have a website, and I'm also, if you're okay with it, I'm going to give away a BPCon ticket to this audience if you fill out our pre-approval form on our website. I'll shoot a note.
Oh, I love that. Are you kidding me? That's like a couple $100. That's amazing. Scott, how can people connect with your community? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have some sort of place for people to plug into?
Well, I'm told I have a Facebook page with like 4,000 or 5,000 of my closest friends on there, which I do look at occasionally, but other people do that for me. Of course, they can go to Facebook, which is I think it's under the ownerfinancenetwork.com.
It's great. I get an email from you guys 1 to 3 times a week, depending on what you have going on. Go check them out, guys. Scott actually does a lot of live training in Texas. He's very much my style. He likes to teach live and in front of an audience, a live audience. So what I would do is I would go find a battle buddy. There's people out there. This was my problem. I could not break into real estate until somebody said, dude, why are you waiting so long? It was like somebody grabbed me by the shoulder and pulled me in and told me exactly what to do. So for me, right now, especially with creative finance, Scott said it. 8 million people are in default right now in Texas alone. So if you've got that many people in default, why not go talk to those people and see what's going on? So I would go after foreclosure. I would have a battle buddy with me, somebody that I'm bouncing ideas off of, and I would buy those properties subject to. So Alexis Morgan, she just got her first deal. She brought the deal to me. It's in Florida, Orlando, Florida. And she goes, I don't have the money for this. The seller's behind on their payments. They need some money to move out of the house. They'll sell the house to us subject to. I need somebody to help me out with the money. And I go, no problem. I'll be your partner on the deal. So not only is she getting a little bit of money up front, but she's also going to be my partner on the deal. So guys, you don't have to, 1, do this on your own. And 2, you don't have to have your own money. So those are the 2 things that were my biggest roadblocks getting into this business. If somebody would have told me, go after foreclosures, find somebody to be your battle buddy. You don't have to have your own money. Go partner with somebody who has either resources, knows how to raise capital, or has their own capital. I would have lit the world on fire 10 years earlier. So Scott Horn, I know you're the one that brought up the foreclosures and the forbearance. How would you suggest to somebody in the audience how to get their first deal maybe in the next 30 days?
Well, you've nailed it pretty much, Pace. Where you need to start on this is, but first off, here in the Texas marketplace, at least in your primary counties, your Dallas, Fort Worth, your Houstons, your Austins, your San Antonios. People are nuts at the foreclosure auction. They are bidding 110 cents on the dollar. It is nuts. We don't even go down. It's not even worth it. And Kevin, in your light, as a hard money lender here in Texas for too daggum long, we used to actually go down to the auctions with our clients with the cashier's checks. And we'd help them bid on the properties to win them and to buy them. But that was buying at the auction, not necessarily the tax auctions or things of this nature where they have redemption periods and items of that nature. We kind of steered away from that. But yes, I think foreclosures is a primary issue. You know, today I was coming back from getting building permits on a property, and I was just driving a neighborhood. So I've got 4 addresses to cold call right now. 3 are vacant, 1's a lot, because we build houses as well. We're going to go for it. Will we get them? I don't know, but you have to go knock on the door hangers, hunt down phone numbers, try to find somebody, whatever it takes. Going after your notice of defaults, as you said, where you can go knock on doors, and you just calling somebody might work. Sending a letter, you don't have time. You got to take the initiative and go out there and knock on the door. I 100% agree with your private capital sourcing in that instance. You know, even though we have the resources to take down whatever we want out there with our own capital, we always use other people's money to invest in our deals whenever possible. We hold our cash back in reserve as needed, and when the right deal comes along, we can move a little bit quicker to take those over in that instance.
So Scott, let's say I'm in Texas. Okay. I buy in Texas. You guys close deals for me. But let's say I'm brand new and I go get somebody that is in foreclosure. They say, yeah, I'm willing to do a sub-2 deal. And it's in an area that you guys and your company would buy. Is bringing a deal to you, I know you're a high level attorney, but is there a way I can bring a deal to you and you guys would partner with me or even buy the deal from me so I don't have to be out of pocket any money?
Absolutely. And so 2-part question there. 1, would we buy the deal? If it's the right deal, the answer is yes. We do that all the time. Do we partner with people? We do, but it has to be the right partner who's willing to actually participate. Just because you find a potential lead doesn't make you a partner. And unfortunately, as I think we all know, everybody who is new in this game, they want to come to the guys who have been doing this. They find a lead, they have no idea what they're going to do with it, and they want to partner on it with you, but they don't bring anything to the table but the property. Now, in those instances, we're going to probably buy the property in some format. We're not going to partner with them, but we can help them monetize it, money in their pocket pretty quickly, which is great for them to start off with. And we don't mentor people per se. You're much more of a mentor in the things that you do and teach at the Sub-2 Academy and whatnot. But you want the investors out there to understand when they come to guys who are a little bit higher level. Rarely do we have time to go out there and mentor them, unfortunately, like we would like to do. We can help them monetize it. And again, for someone who's really willing to step up to the table, put up part of the cash themselves, actually put an effort in the deal, and they have an idea, yeah, we'll partner with them.
Love it. All right, great. Kevin Hill, my new friend. What are you seeing your clients? People are borrowing money from you. Where are you hearing from your clients where they're finding a lot of their deals? Are they at auction? Are they mailing? Are they cold calling? How are your clients getting their deals right now, if you have that answer?
I mean, we have a wide variety of clients, from first-time real estate investors through developers that have built hundreds of properties. So I'll just step back and answer from a different perspective, which would be, if it's your first deal, you're trying to get something done in the next 30 days, build your team out. So, I mean, watch all Pace's YouTubes. I watched a couple yesterday to catch up on all the different creative financing solutions. Talk to hard money lenders, talk to private lenders who might be working with you alongside a hard money lender as your down payment money, either or as a partner in your LLC, or maybe they're taking a second. Build all those different team members, show them what your plans are, so that when you approach a property or deal, you can get it done with creative financing. Some sellers, of course, don't want to go down that route. So you can take it down with a hard money loan and a second position down payment loan from a private lender, or maybe you have some family and friends that can join your LLC to bring the capital. So build the team out so that you can, when you get a look at a potential opportunity, you can take it down either creatively or in the middle, less creatively with more hard money financing.
Love it. I love it. So, you say build out your team. When I was brand new, what I would have understood when you say build out your team is, oh my gosh, I got to hire people. Guys, what Kevin is not saying is he's not saying hire people. He's saying go get your board of directors, essentially, right? You need a closing attorney if you're in an attorney state. You need a title company that you can work with. Sometimes you need a probate attorney. Probate attorneys help out a lot. We get a lot of referrals from them, but also when my clients are going through probate, it's nice to have an attorney there. Have a hard money lender. Oh my word, you need to have a hard money lender, and you need to have a relationship with them. And it's perfectly okay for you to reach out to a hard money lender before you have a deal and just say, hey, I want to interview you guys, have a quick 5-7 minute phone call, or maybe even get an approval on their website. Kevin, you have a link to give people that you said you were going to give away a ticket tonight.
Yeah, it's in the chat. And basically,
put it in there one more time. I'll pause the chat because usually in my Zooms, we end up having close to 3,000-4,000 comments in my Zooms.
Right. Yeah, if you go to that link I just put, whoops, I sent it to not everyone. There's a link to get pre-approved. And basically it's a form telling us what strategies you are interested in, what states you invest in, very basic information. And you can put a property address in there and it can become your pre-approval letter that you show to someone to put something under contract.
Ooh, that's amazing. So if I'm sitting out there talking to somebody in foreclosure and they say, well, how do I know that you actually have the money to buy my property? I can go to your website and get a pre-approval letter and send it back to them and go, I've been pre-approved for this property.
Correct. I would say it's also helpful to take it one step further and interact with someone at a hard money lender. And so they know you and you're in their system. As a lender that sees lots of deals, and a lot of repeat clients, it's nice that we already know you when you bring something. It's harder when you've bounced around to 20 different lenders. They have all said, no, we're getting it. And we have a week or 3 days to close to underwrite you, all that stuff. So create a relationship or two in advance of starting to try to put things under contract.
I agree with that. I would say that the good hard money lenders are busy. Everybody wants to use them. They're easy to work with. And so give them a couple of weeks before you guys have to close escrow. David Van Horn, I am expecting your answer to the same question to be completely different than everybody else. From a note investor, if somebody wanted to get into note investing, is there a way I could get into a deal like in 30 days with no money out of my pocket and note investing?
With no money?
Yeah. Can I wholesale a note? Can I buy a note with partners? Is there a way that I can get involved in some sort of transaction in your world by not using my money, but other people's money?
Sure. I mean, I built my whole company with other people's money, right? So I'm a bank basically with other people's money, but you can, you can always originate a note. You can invest in smaller portions in note funds, right? There's all kinds of note funds you go. You could go actually buy a note. But a unique way is to invest in what you know. And I always say we're all in the note business. You just may not realize you're participating in it, right? So a lot of times you're writing a credit card payment or something. You're not used to receiving payment. So you're at the other end of the note business. But I like to say we're all in the note business. But I'll give you an example of what I mean by invest in what you know. I had an heating and air conditioning guy one time. We were out to lunch and I said, have you ever thought of financing the heaters and air conditioning units you install? And he goes, well, there's a company that does that finances that. I go, yeah, did you ever think of owning that? He goes, oh, you can do that? I said, of course you can. So think about
how many times have we all in real estate investing asked that question? Wait, you can do that? And you're watching all these other guys like, Scott, you've been in this business a long time. I can't even imagine how many times when you were just starting out in this business, you asked that question. Wait, I can do that? I'm still learning that kind of stuff. So David, what did You told this guy
So
instead
think
of
about the results. He didn't have to necessarily do the note business the way Dave Van Horn's doing it in mortgages and notes and mortgages, right? He could do it in a different way in what he knew, which is heating and air conditioning, right? So what he started doing is he set up a company. They started financing the installs. He would get a deposit. If the people didn't pay, he could put a mechanics lien on their house, right? So basically, he built a whole nother business vertical inside his own business. And think about all the residuals he gets from the heater servicing contracts. It built the value of his business way up.
well, he's also destroying his competition that are not offering this as well. So he's probably doubling his sales initially, because if they have a sales call, for anybody that doesn't understand what Dave's talking about, is air conditioning guy goes out to, John Smith's house for an air conditioning quote. He says, hey, this is going to be $12,000 for this install and the machine. And the guy goes, I don't have $12,000. And the air conditioning company goes, well, no problem. I have a financing company that will finance the $12,000 for you. So he connects the consumer and that bank essentially together, and he gets paid his $12,000. Meanwhile, the bank that created the note between that consumer and that bank, they're making way more than $12,000. So you told him to go and control that process. Is that what you told him?
Well, yes. Plus, he got to invest in something he knew. Like, he didn't understand notes and mortgages very well. He was a heating and air conditioning guy. I said, well, go do that. And I had a dentist buddy did the same thing. He started a finance company with an orthodontist to finance dental work, right? And same story. And actually, their finance company actually became more valuable than his dental practice. So think about that. I mean, you never know where these things can lead. But no, you can actually do it. You can originate a note for almost anything you can finance that you can think of. It's as creative as you want to be. It's just another way to do the note business. The other piece I like about the note business is where you can have notes paying for your liabilities. So I'll give you an example of that. I had a buddy who wanted to put an addition on his house, and he was going to go take a home equity loan. And I said, well, why don't you take a little bit extra home equity loan, go buy a reperforming note, and let the payment for the reperforming note pay for the home equity loan. And he did that, and he actually got a free addition.
Did he ask you, Dave, wait, you can do that?
A little bit, yeah. Well, it didn't occur to him to borrow extra to go buy an asset and have the asset pay for the what he was trying to build. It would be like if my wife wanted a Mercedes, I would go, let me go buy the note or a house that has enough cash flow to pay for the car payment. I don't really have any car payments, but you get the idea. I did it with my youngest son's college. He actually went to college, and I go take out a student loan because I want to leave my money invested. And he took out the student loan, and then it came time to pay it back. I said, let's go get you a reperforming note to pay it back. And he was able to go to college for about a third of the money doing that.
Oh, I love that. I love it. I love it. Guys, give our panelists some love. We've got nearly 700 people between Zoom and YouTube watching. Give them 700 comments in the side chat. Give them some love, please. You know how we do it here. Now, I think I should do some one-on-ones with you guys and really deep dive into your individual businesses at some point over the next couple of months, even after BPCon. But let's open it up to Q&A. We've got 37 minutes left. So let's see if I can crank through. I'm going to try and navigate and choose one person to answer each question rather than everybody answer every question. Then that way we can crank through it. I'm going to go to Laura Smith first, ladies first, as we all know. Laura Smith, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Pace?
Amazing. What do you got for us tonight?
So I have a question for David on notes.
Oh, you don't even want me to choose who's going to answer the question? You're going to just go right to David?
Yeah, because it's actually it's specific questions.
I love it.
That's how I roll.
Do it.
Okay, so David, on the notes, they come in on the secondary market, correct?
Yes, the ones we purchase, yes.
Okay, and then when you're purchasing them, it's kind of like purchasing a bond in the bond market, right? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, there are two note worlds. There's the seller finance note world, I call it, and then there's the institutional note world. So I'm mostly playing in the institutional note world, but there's a whole nother note world that is the seller finance note world, the private money note world, the hard money note world can be that way. And then hard money can be institutional as well. But So yeah, there's kind of a separation there, where you can participate in the note business in either one of those worlds or both. So I hope I didn't confuse you with that.
You kind of did, but I kind of know what like seller finance is now, thanks to Pace. So I understand that. I do know the institutional side completely, because that's my world. That's my, my W-2 world. So
Do you want, well, I could do a quick explanation of that. So if you were to say I was selling my home and I owned it free and clear, and I was going to create a note so that Zach could buy it from me, and I'd finance Zach because I like him or he's my nephew or whatever. And I create a note. Well, if I wanted to sell that note to recapitalize because, I'm close to retirement or death or whatever, I want the money, I could sell that note to a seller finance company. Like there's companies that'll buy that, especially if I originate it correctly. So if you ever want to create a private note that you hope to sell at a later date, go out and reach out to the seller finance type of buying companies that'll buy your note from you. Find out their criteria in advance before you originate that private note, even if it's for a relative or friend or whatever. Because if you create the note correctly, you can easily sell it and recapitalize if you need money later. Now, an institutional note, like what I'm talking about, these are bank originated loans.
right. So on the
type.
I got you. So I just want to make sure I understand this. So on the seller finance, it's almost like you're the mortgage, right?
You're the
Like
bank.
you're in the mortgage. Okay, I understand.
You are the bank.
You are the bank.
Hey, can I
Right.
pop in for just a minute, guys?
I was just gonna
Sure.
say, Scott and I have
Perfect.
we've played enough golf together.
Yeah.
And I've learned one of the most important things that Dave just mentioned. I learned from Scott years and years ago, is you got
Can we
to
exchange information about that, Dave, somewhere down the line?
yeah.
Yes.
Never mind.
What Scott? I saw Scott flinch just a little bit when Dave was talking. Scott has something he wants to say, and I knew
Yeah.
he was going to. It's going to be good, guys. It's going to be
So-
really good.
So, David, institutionally, I get it. You're buying from the big banks, and if you can buy enough volume, you can get great discounts sometimes. You're dealing with defaulted mortgages typically, and you've got to go out and restructure those in various formats, typically to make those profitable. I get that, and it can be a very attractive world. There are a huge amount of investors who, let's say, for example, Laura, they'll buy a house at 70 cents on the dollar, and they sell it for 100 or 110 cents on the dollar, whatever that might be. They put a buyer in that property who maybe puts a 10% down payment down, and they'll carry back this $100,000 note, let's say. Let's just, for example, say that $100,000 note carries a 9% interest rate.
Okay.
So your goal is to go out and find in your marketplace, whatever that might be, investors who play that game. Because when they create those mortgages, from a guy like myself, I've sold, 2,500, 3,000 mortgages over the years that we've created. They have to as David said, they have to recapitalize. And so they will take that owner finance note and they'll look for a buyer, or maybe you can be that buyer and you buy it for a discount. You buy that $100,000 note for 90,000, 85,000, 80,000, based upon whatever the criteria is that you have. What's the yield I'm looking for? What is the loan to value of that property? What is the pay history of the borrower? And you make the best decision that works for you and your locale. Caveat: do your homework, know who you're doing business with, don't trust investors. So often the rehabbers shortcut too many things. They don't do things right. Make sure your loan has been properly originated for all the new compliance issues. And you can get a very attractive mortgage that way without going through the work of buying the property, rehabbing it, or finding the buyer. Yeah, you won't make as much money, but you do a tenth of the work. You just got to find those potential sellers and cultivate.
So if you're owning the note, if you own the note and the homeowner defaults,
You foreclose.
me as the investor would foreclose on the homeowner.
And of course, when you're buying that note, make sure you know what your state's foreclosure laws are. Here in Texas, very friendly. No, Arizona, where PACE is, takes about 6 months. Here
I'm
in
in Cal-
Texas, it's about 2 months. Other states are different, they vary. But know what those
California
are.
could be long.
Yeah, know
Laura,
those processes.
Laura, don't tell anybody where you're from, okay?
Okay, I won't.
She's
And
she's from California.
And a lot of the yield comes from default interest that starts building up as someone falls behind in payments. And then as a lender, if you can't get whole upon foreclosure, that loan might have a personal guarantee. So you also want to look at, is that personal guarantee worth anything based on the financial position of underlying borrower?
You're also making the assumption you're going to foreclose on everybody that defaults. There's a lot can happen along that journey there. Many times we get assets reperforming. In fact, we actually foreclose on relatively small numbers. It depends on, occupancy and things like that. There's a lot of other variables that we look at.
Laura, what are you trying to do? Do you want me to do a whole Zoom about this later, or what are you trying to do?
I just want to know more about notes because it's just something that, it just really interests me. I think because I'm in, the opposite end of you, I'm in the stock market industry. So this just really intrigues me as much. So something I would really love to learn more about. I think
I'll do a couple of deep dive Zooms on notes, specifically the notes we've created, the notes we do, and we'll bring in Dave, we'll bring in Scott, we'll do some fun stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, but you have one caveat: you have to leave California, you have to move to Texas or move to Arizona for us to do that.
Well, I'm not moving to Arizona because y'all are going to go dry because you all don't have any water either.
That is true. That is very true. We are going to run.
We got
out
a
of water.
lot in Texas right now, Bubba. It's
But you
raining
all
cats and
have
dogs.
property taxes.
Yeah, Texas
true.
property taxes are pretty intense. But that's why you sell on wrap. That's why you sell on wrap there. You don't necessarily need to hold it. Let the homeowner pay the taxes, Laura, thank you for your question. We'll do a deep dive in some of our future Zooms.
Thank you guys.
You're welcome. Great question. A lot of people interested in notes tonight. Let's jump in with Preston Dahl. I call Preston Dahl the king of the North Dakota. Preston Dahl, how you doing, brother?
Hey, what's up? Zach actually did deals in North Dakota, like right where I live too.
That's why he's no longer the king of the North. You are.
Yes, he left some space. So my question's more of a profile question. I'll let you, who you want to pick, Pace. So you're down the road. You're not doing your first deal. You're 3 or 4 years down the road in your career as an investor. I'm just curious to know where, this is a pretty big room, some heavy hitters. Where did you start to find your niche? Where did you start to find your voice? Like, you've kind of done it all, tried it all. You're like, oh, there's so much that you can do in real estate. And I'd be curious to know someone's story, like as they got going, they're like, this is it. This is the niche I want to do.
This is an interesting question. I know Preston very well. He's been with me for a couple of years. Preston's in North Dakota. For one of his first paradigms that he had to switch was that he needed to be the biggest guy in the smallest town. And he was excited about just doing deals in North Dakota. Then he realized, oh my gosh, I can do things virtually. Wait, oh my gosh, I can bring on some people on my company and they can help me do things. So I don't have to do it. Like he's gone through all of that stuff, which has been fun to watch. He's done just about every type of transaction along the way. But now here he is saying, hey, here I am 4 years into my journey. And I really want to find my avenue. I want to find which way do I want to go and focus on. Like Zach, I'm going to have you answer this question. Was there a point in your journey that you decided I'm going to focus on turnkey rentals? This is my lane. This is what I'm doing. And if the answer is yes, then why?
And Preston, good to see you, man. I remember talking to you years ago.
Yeah, dude.
Back in North Dakota days of wholesaling farms. That's the world we came from. So
yeah, dude.
I think you go where your passion is, right? I think that like for us, turnkey is our active business, and we're doing that, and it's operating like a system right now without my direct involvement. But really my passion is more in the commercial retail space. That's a lot of what what we buy, because I like the idea of longer term leases and solving issues and bigger value add, and being able to tap into some seller finance options with those. I think you'll probably develop two things over time as you I guess embark on your investing journey. And it's hard in the beginning because you get the shiny object syndrome, right? You hear about all these things. You hear about note investing. You hear about all these different creative financing or whatever the case is, turnkey, and you want to learn all about them, but you can't be successful at all those things at once. And so you really have to learn something and develop it and master it, and then decide if that's a path you want to continue to go on. And I believe as you continue to be successful in different avenues in real estate, other doors of opportunity open up. And sometimes you don't know where that's going to be. But I think if you just have a simple interest or passion in something, there's a lot of people that do creative financing options and turn a huge, a house into a short-term rental, and they just increase that income potential.
Was there a moment in turnkey rentals that you go, this is what I want to build the big ass business around?
Okay. So for our business though, turnkey rentals, yeah, absolutely. And that moment was, okay. And I used to be an optometrist in healthcare, and I was actually stationed out in North Dakota. That's why I was there in the Air Force. We replaced our active income through developing our systems, investing in different areas. And we had our friends and family and colleagues come to us and say, help us do the same thing. Right. And that's where it became rewarding for us, is to be able to say, hey, we've already paved this path. Let's scale it. Let's help you build, your own path in that education process.
That's interesting. So you're sitting there saying, I need to replace my active income because I'm not super excited about what I went to school for, which, happens a lot. You go over here, you create systems, processes, momentum. What ends up happening is people start noticing that you have this momentum. So they start reaching out to you. Hey, what are you doing, man? I see you doing this. And you go, wait, there's a business opportunity here that I can actually go out and do this. So it's not like it smacked you in the face. It's that you created that momentum, which then attracted the opportunity. That's what you're saying, correct?
100%. And also noticing that opportunity and capitalizing it. Pace, I know you're owning title companies now, or developing title companies, right? And so it's also like we were talking about earlier with, why not, as David was saying about, hey, let's own that business, right? Let's become a lender. Let's own that title. Why not sell insurance? I mean, yeah, it's seeing that opportunity and also following your passion.
Thank you for the answer, Zach. Preston, I'm not going to let you leave just yet. I want to ask this of Kevin. Kevin, how did hard money lending smack you in the face? What were you doing that all of a sudden one day, maybe you were at lunch or you were on the golf course, you decided, man, maybe I should start my own hard money lending business?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I've been in investment management in various ways for 20 years. One of the problems there was I was working for large hedge funds, and I was not a trader, equity trader. So I was not going to get involved in the deal side. I was going to be running operations. And so it was a unique opportunity to take my kind of growth operator mindset and skills, but also be involved with approving declining deals. So within this space, I understand lending. I'm a real estate investor. And so I was able to combine kind of the skills I already had with something that I understood, and then grow business. So, for me, I joined a small business with 5 people. I'd previously grown a company from 5 people to about 50, and the revenue and net income alongside of that, graph. And so I had the opportunity to do that again and grow it through building out our footprint of where we lend, the types of loans we were offering. We were just a fix and flip lender on turnkey operators doing $60,000 loans. Now we do $10 million loans on ground up developments, and build a team to support that. So I would say we call it GWC, get it, want it, have the capacity to do it. And so I really fell in love with this business. I get it. I want to do it, and I have the capacity to keep growing. So
that's really good.
$1 billion a year is what our goal is. And
I love that. Now, Scott, I know your story, but will you give me a 2-minute snapshot? You get out of law school. I think from what I remember, is like an economic downturn that made you pivot to a different direction. What was it that got you down the avenue that you've basically perfected and people have become to know you for?
I mean, I got laid off of the only job I had. I got to figure out how to hunt and kill it. Really, Pace, to answer the direct question is when we got into investing, It was just an opportunity, something new. It was all I knew at the time. And so we bought our first house through traditional mechanisms. You're going through traditional rehab, over rehabbing houses, using realtors to sell, mortgage companies to finance, title companies to close, and all of a sudden you make no money. And as you start to expand, buying more houses, you have to find a way to create cash flow to carry the debt service. And so we started to learn how to do lease options, lease purchases, contract for deeds, things of this nature that we could do here in the Texas marketplace back in the late 80s and through the 1990s. And as that changed and morphed, we were accumulating more and more properties, but our borrowers weren't able to refinance the homes. And of course, you're going to run out of debt real quick. And we were, back in those days, I'm sure you guys know the Home Investor franchisees. And Ken D'Angelo, who started Home Investors, was here in Dallas. We were flipping houses back and forth, and we would share information, things how to do. And it's like, let's sell mortgages. We're going, what? We had no idea how to do this, but we started just selling mortgages. We found a way to do that game, and it slowly rolled. And you learned you didn't have to do the maximum rehab on a property. You didn't have to go to use a realtor to sell your house. You could do it yourself. You didn't have to close through a title company. You could close yourself or with a law firm. You cut your costs and expenses, and you cut all the middle people out. And that slowly rolled where we're doing one house a month to 10 to 20 or more along the way. And these were full rehabs, guys. So buying a full rehab is tough versus like buying a mortgage per se that's already income producing. But we found that mechanism to get it going. And then go one step further, when you're doing about 400 houses a year or so, you realize you can't do much more than that yourself. And this was all internally, all us, all financed and guaranteed by us. And one day I said, hey guys, we're going to start lending money. And of course, my partner goes, we're going to do what? How are we going to lend money? Where's it coming from? How are we going to? I said, I have no idea. And you just do it though. And you take that goal of never fail and you put together a plan and you go make it happen. And you find what is your passion. And as Zach said, there's a passion out there, right? That you want to follow. I'm a rehabber at heart. I love turning a junky house to something really nice. And what's more fun is putting a creative financed home buyer in there who didn't think they could buy a house. They go out in the parking lot, they jump up and down, hug each other till they got a chance to buy a home. It is rewarding, and we get a chance to make money along the way. And it becomes fun. And whether it's lending money, buying notes, you find that niche and you gravitate to it. And you find out what you're good at. We were lucky to go in several directions, but it's all vertically integrated into the single family investment industry. In other words, we're not doing cars, although I did cars for a while, and houses or pineapples or whatever it might be. We're doing everything involved, and we stay in our lane. I don't go commercial. I'm single family. Some guys are commercial. Some guys are they do multifamily. Great. Find that niche. Find that works and go for it.
It's awesome.
You know what I heard when I was listening to Scott is collaborate with other people, hang out with other people, spend time with other people. Preston, I think one thing is that where you're at is you're isolated. I would spend a little bit more time trying to get out. Maybe it's masterminds. Maybe it's real estate meetups outside of North Dakota. Okay. No offense to North Dakota, but I think you're isolated there. What happens is you just get running with a pack of wolves and ideas start popping up. You go to lunch with people, you do this. Hey, let's do a flip together. Next thing you know, Scott Horn's he just goes, man, look at this crowd of guys I got. Let's go freaking start lending money. How? I don't know. All I know is that together we can do anything, and then you go figure it out. Like, I think you're not collaborating enough is what it sounds like to me.
Hey, Pace, I just want to throw one more point out if I could too for Preston. Years ago, there's a guy here in Dallas, his name is Tim Heritage. And I met Tim coming right out from the Marine Corps. And at that time, he was working for a small rehabber running leads. He didn't know what he was doing. He then went to work for a home investor franchisee here. In fact, the second home investor franchisee ever running their leads. Well, he got disenfranchised there. They weren't taking care of him. And they had known who we were just because we were lending money to them at that time. And he says, hey, let's go to lunch. I go, okay. It's just I'm going to lunch. Let's what's going on. Let's talk. And I like talking to you guys in the business, see what they're doing. What can you do to help them out? And he says, teach me how just to buy one house a year the way you do things. Like, we can do that. It's easy. And I kid you not, the next day, he goes, I want to come work for you. I'm going, what? And he comes in and he listened, he learned, and we went gangbusters for like 12 years until the crash hit. It was awesome. It was just that one meeting. I had a young man, I don't know if you know Grant Kemp. He was out in the,
yeah, I know Grant. We've had conversations about Grant. He's a friend of mine. He came and worked for you. He's great.
But he just one day he called and he needed help doing a deal. He didn't know what he was doing. Put it together for him, and in 3 weeks he made $6,000 and like $500 a month positive cash flow. And same thing next day, I want to come work for you. I'll work for free for a year. I don't need any money. How do you turn that down? And it built and it grew, and he did awesome. And it really is those situations sometimes. You never know what's around the corner or what's going to happen. You have to open doors. Sometimes they flourish. Sometimes they don't. I get it. That's fine. Sometimes they want to milk you dry, and sometimes they don't. But when it hits, it can hit. But you got to get out there and do these kind of things. And just put yourself out there. I love meeting new people, whether it's bankers, the title guys, whether it's mortgage lenders. What's going on? I get a chance to learn what's going on in our industries. I love talking to other asset-based lenders just because I want to know what they're seeing in the marketplace and feels what they're doing different than what we're doing. We all do the same thing, but we do things differently. But you just got to get out there. And as they said, put yourself out there, open the door, just see what happens.
That's awesome.
Stop being isolated, handsome guy. King of the North needs to come down off his throne for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, there's money to be made up here, man.
I know, chopping down trees and like starting a lumber yard. I'm sure that there's plenty of stuff up there.
You could be a sheep farmer, right?
just kidding. Preston, good to see you, brother.
I'm gonna have a comeback for that one of these days.
Bro, come. On September 23rd, we're doing like an in-person training. Come down, spend the day with me. Just get around me, man. I'd love to see you. Bring the family. Come hang out.
Well, right on. Thanks,
Appreciate you, brother. Good to see you. Okay, couple more questions. Dennis Yasko. Let's give some love to some New Jersey folk. You know what I'm saying? Dennis Yasko is an amazing leader outside over there. Whoa, bro. You're looking dapper with this new facial hair going on, this new haircut. You look great.
What's going on? I gotta thank you for just building like the best community ever. Honestly, it's insane what you've done, like all the people you connected. It's crazy. We appreciate it so much.
Hey, you know what? When you get excited and passionate about stuff, like these guys, Scott and Dave are guys that I've been learning from for years. Like they've ignited passions in me. All I'm trying to do is give it back to everybody else. So thanks for being in here, Dennis. What do you got for us?
Yeah. I have a quick question. So I run door knocking teams. Right now we're in 4 different markets, door knocking. And one of my main market is in Jersey, right? And if you know Jersey at all, it's disgusting. Like I have one property right now. They've been in foreclosure since 2006, and they have like 130,000 in arrears, and only like maybe 40 or 50K in equity. So something like that with a foreclosure, how do you guys like go about that? Are you just like, don't even bother? Because if I could take these down, figure these out, I'd have 3 to 4 deals a week like this.
First thing that pops in my head, everybody else correct me if I'm wrong. First thing that pops in my head is short sale.
Yeah.
That's right out of the gate. Like you should be, and short sales are going to be huge the next 2 to 6 years. So I would be working, Matthew Potter, he'd be great for short sales. Angie, Kiki maybe. But I would be doing short sales. What are your guys' thoughts? Scott, Dave, Kevin, Zach, what do you guys think?
Walk me through the question one more time, please.
You've got a house that's been in foreclosure for like 9 years. It's got $106,000 in arrears. So what happens is you knock on the door, you find that out, and they just go, "Oh man, that's too much for us to go raise capital to go, catch up the arrears and buy the thing sub 2." They could do a loan mod, but chances are if you do a loan mod, that person hasn't worked in 5 years.
Yeah. That's
So,
usually what I'm running into. Yeah.
There is that out there, by the way, that I see. I've dealt with some of those before. And there are, and I am a deal guy that I'm going to make any deal work if I can possibly make it work. That's just the fun part of our business, is that creativity, I think. But sometimes there are situations where it's just like, yeah, we're done. Lenders on a short sale today, at least, from what I understand, they'll do up to 80 or no less than 80% of the appraised value on a short sale. The first question is will they even do it at that price? Will they take that write-off for that large amount or not? Now, obviously, if you don't ask, you don't get. The worst thing they can say is no. But the problem with the short sale is you put it with the short sale company, they have to list it on MLS. And can you go make the offer on it? Answer is, of course you can. But who else is going to be making that offer? It's going to depend on the marketplace you're in, I think, as to the nature of the competitiveness of what's out there. If you're in DFW, you're going to have 20 investors bidding at one time, maybe 30. Other markets, maybe not quite so much. And so, although the short sales could work, you never know. Sometimes you look at that, you just wonder, why hasn't the mortgage company foreclosed? I like to go out and find if there's any, I might try to do a tax lien loan on the company here in Texas that can jump in front of the mortgage and let it sit, and maybe down the road try to foreclose on that mortgage, or at least I get paid a very high interest rate on that money and fees and things of that nature. There are some deals, I'm just going to say, that when you look at them, they just don't work because they become impractical. And you wind up just having to walk away. And there are some deals you go, I can make this happen. But there are other deals you go, yeah, man, we just can't do it.
That's amazing information, Scott. Dave, do you have any information on why? I know you're working in the institution world with notes and stuff like that. Do you have any insight on why a mortgage company would not foreclose on something that long, that far in arrears?
Because it's Jersey.
Well, I mean, Jersey's a long state, right? It could take 2-3 years to foreclose. Sometimes there's other ways, like if it's vacant or if you go through federal court. We usually get Jersey assets for cheaper pricing. But I mean, there's still things you can do. I would still go down the demand letter. Definitely fire off a demand letter for sure. Sometimes you get a response, sometimes you don't.
What does a demand letter do for somebody that's hearing that for the first time? Why would I send off a demand letter, and what is
it's
that?
It's a notice of default. Sometimes it's enough to shake the tree to get them to call in and respond. There's things you could do to try to, you could try to mod it. It's really not up to what you want to do. It's really up to what the borrower wants to do, right? If they don't want to leave, they're not going to, you know what I mean? It's kind of like they're pulling the decision because they still own the house, but you could offer, a discounted arrears. A lot of times what we do is the more they can put towards the arrears, the more we can modify their loan, right? Or we could discount the arrears, or we could do cash for keys to get them to leave. I'm assuming, is it a first mortgage?
So everyone's different. I've had some that are, one has 5 different liens on it.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Still foreclose though. You can foreclose from 5th position. I mean, it depends on, yeah.
I would say, Dennis, there are things I just don't want to put out on the open airwaves right now. But if you want to give me a buzz, I can give you some suggestions where you have multiple lien issues that might.
Dennis, here's a suggestion. Scott's always been super open with our community. Why don't you go find one of these problems that's like recent that you guys are dealing with? Maybe something that pops up in the next couple of days. I'll do a Zoom with Scott in the next couple of weeks, and let's talk about a specific deal. And I'll call the bank with you. We'll just mess around with it, learn some lessons, have some fun stuff with it.
I think David probably knows this better than anybody here. When you deal with these banks that have these mortgages, the question is do they have the ability to sell you that mortgage or not? If it's been, put out onto Wall Street and broken up into 4711 segments, yeah, that's not going to happen. If it's a direct portfolio lender who is in control of the entire mortgage, then there is potentiality that you could buy that mortgage at some discount, and then you can control the transaction at that point in time. It's just finding out if the lender has the ability to do that or not. And, we'll oftentimes go out and try to buy mortgages from the lender. And unfortunately, 98% of the time, the answer is no. Either we just don't do that or can't do that. If you get to the right group, the right asset manager for that lender, then there might be possibilities. But that takes the expertise of David to get there sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, most of the loans we buy are through a trade desk. They're not through Lost Mid. So a lot of times you're going in through Lost Mid. I apologize too. I was under the assumption you own the loan. You're trying to get after the property and there's a foreclosed loan. I kind of picked that up right at this point. But are you in dialogue with the seller or the owner of the property?
Yeah. So what we're doing is
You can get an authorization and talk on behalf of them. You could possibly, reinstate their loan. The problem is it's upside down and
way upside down.
Yeah.
So typically the arrears are too high and there's in need of like desperate repairs. I'm a fix and flipper. That's what I've done. So I always consider
but think about subject to, right? Like, I've done thousands of subject to because we used to buy second mortgages in bulk, right? A lot of them, right? So we've done thousands of them. It's no different in a way, right? So if you enter a down market or there's upside down in equity, subject to can become a problem, right? Because there's not enough equity there, right? It's just like if I'm, if I'm doing we buy houses business and I could do a lease option or a subject to deal. Well, if it needs a lot of work, I want the deed, right?
Yeah.
So, but the problem is if there's not enough equity covering that deed, you're going to have, it's really move on to the next deal in some cases, unless you guys see it differently. Maybe
Dennis, bring one of these deals to the table and let's call the loss mitigation department. Have my wife do that. Every Monday, for everybody that's maybe newer, my wife for 3 hours will work foreclosures, work short sales, comp deals for people. Let's just have my wife call the loss mitigation department on Monday on one of these deals. Find one that your team is knocking on, and let's get a real example about this. This would be exciting for a lot of people.
Yeah, I literally have like probably 15 of them sitting in my CRM.
Let's tease my wife and pick the gnarliest one, and we'll tell my wife it's really easy one. Don't worry, but pick the gnarliest one you got.
If you called my company, we'd discount it.
Hey, Pace, how's the sofa?
That's another thing to look for too. Like if it's a regular like Wells Fargo type bank or a smaller entity LLC, you might see the owner had bought that from somewhere else, right? And they're more willing to negotiate because they bought it at a discount. They didn't originate it. So I don't know out of the 15 you have, if some are like these no names, you have better odds of calling them and getting somewhere. Like if somebody calls here to do a workout, we love it. Like because we bought that loan at a discount.
Yeah, I got like Freedom Mortgages. I got Rushmore, all kinds of like different ones.
Yeah, you're better off with some of the servicers. Yeah, but even Wells, they service for about 3,500 different investors. So
true. Okay, awesome.
Love it, Dennis. We'll see you in a future episode, brother. Good to see you.
Hopefully, I could come out to BPCon. I made it last year, but this year I quit my job to go full into real estate. So I don't know if I'll be able to swing it, but we'll see what I can do.
You'll swing it, bro. We'll make sure you're there.
Hopefully. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, brother.
That's it.
All right, guys. That was a really fun hour and a half. Thank you guys so much for your time. I'm going to do just a 30-second thing where I want to go around and give everybody the ability to tell people where to connect and how to do business with you guys. My audience and my community already knows who Scott Horn is. So I'll start with Scott. Scott, what's the best place for people to go tie in with you, do business with you, either send you a deal, get a loan from your lending business, open escrow with your title and escrow business? Where can we link in?
Well, the first one is if it's regarding creative finance and or title, it's going to be hornrealestatelaw.com. And that is Horn with an E, so HORNE, realestatelaw.com. They can visit us at theownerfinancenetwork.com also and reach out to us through that link as well. And whether we can help them with structuring or closing a creative finance deal, with issuing title on whatever that transaction might be it buying or selling. We do the entire Texas marketplace. We do the creative finance business nationwide. We have everything under the Owner Finance Network, from loan structuring, from note pro services, RMLO and underwriting services nationwide. We have our loan servicing as well, and things of that nature. So I would start with those two primarily. We'd love to help out anybody in your audience.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you, brother. Okay, Kevin Hill, let's get you. Tell people where to link in. I know you were giving away a ticket. I wonder if you already gave it away. I'm sure actually I saw a few people say they had already applied on your website, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Aloha, I'll be at BPCon in Force with about 10 people. Zach's company, Rent to Retirement, Aloha Capital, are platinum sponsors. So our companies will be have marketing materials all over the place. But as far as getting financing on investment property, alohaprivatelending.com is our website. Deals at alohaprivatelending.com is a good place to shoot us your scenario, and our team will get back to you within 24 hours. On our contact page on our website, you can get pre-approved.
Did you say deals at alohalending.com?
alohaprivatelending.com. It's should be on my screen right now as part of my name. We also run a accredited investor fund. So if anyone wants to invest in notes in a very passive way, we have a fund vehicle for accredited investors, and you can get some information from our website there as well on that.
Amazing. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you coming out, brother.
Yep. Thanks.
Amazing, amazing. Mr. Dave Van Horn, where can people learn more from you, learn about notes, get tied into your world, invest with you, bring you opportunities? How can they connect with you?
It's probably easiest through pprnoteco.com, pprnoteco.com, and also on BP. You can always reach out to me on Bigger Pockets as well. We do accredited investors in our funds as well, pretty much all the time. And then also looking for solid sponsors on multifamily and commercial real estate. So, anybody looking for capital for larger deals, usually in the 100 to 400 unit range.
You're looking to sponsor deals, or are you looking for sponsors? We
look for sponsors.
Amazing. I have a deal we're getting under contract at $100 million in 2 days, and another one at $80 million. One's in Atlanta, one's in Gilbert, Arizona. I'll connect with you on those and see if we can collab on them.
Yep.
Thank you,
Sounds
Dave.
good.
Look forward to seeing you.
Pleasure.
Dave, I'm going to reach out to you. Maybe we can do a Zoom just about notes and just deep dive on notes specifically.
Sure. We're happy. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Zach, you and I are going to be hanging out a lot in 2023. Thank you so much for coming out. How can people find out more about what you got going on?
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Pace. I mean, such a great community. I've already learned a lot in this hour. I mean, this is just awesome. The people that you have, I mean, watching this side chat. If anyone's interested to learn more about turnkey investing, this is single family, multifamily, new development and construction projects. And we also have syndication opportunities as well. They can go to renttoretirement.com. That's renttoretirement.com. That's got links to all our social media. For anyone that's part of this community, just give us the code PACE and we will provide a $500 closing cost credit or price reduction on your first turnkey rental. So it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you at Bigger Pockets.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. How good was that? Everybody in the side comments. I'm going to open up side comments, and if you guys want to I'll do a little bit of Q&A. I have to leave for a flight in 20 minutes. So tell me, we got 400 people in here. We've got 215 people over on YouTube. You guys like it? A lot of it's over people's heads. The challenge, I would say, the biggest challenge with people who've been in the business for so long is that we go deep really, really fast. So let me answer some questions, help some people out. Christopher, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
What do you got for me?
It's about that question actually that I sent you on Instagram earlier about what form should I get them to sign about that deal that I'm doing.
Oh, how to the form to get them to sign for the multifamily deal that you're doing. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because the thing is, no one's actually buying the deal. The people the owners holding the mortgage, they're coming in and doing the construction. So technically, I guess they're just bringing equity into it. So I'm not assigning a contract. So I'm not really sure, but they agreed that they would pay me a certain amount. I'm just not really sure what to get them to sign.
So you just need them to get you to sign. You need to get them to sign an agreement that you're going to get paid, right? So
Yes.
basically it's a JV agreement. Like, hey, this is what our joint venture looks like. Here's my participation in that joint venture. I need to get paid on that. And I'll throw that at the top of our Facebook group here in like 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. And so that would be for the person that I brought that's bringing the money, correct?
It doesn't
Not the
matter.
person who,
It doesn't matter.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Anytime you're involved in a deal and you're like, I need to get paid and I don't know how to get paid, do a JV agreement.
Okay.
It's basically a letter of understanding. Like, here's what I'm doing. Here's what you're doing. We're joint venturing on these activities. This is what you're going to pay me. And this is when you're going to pay me. And I'll put a JV agreement in the Facebook group.
Perfect. I really appreciate that.
Of course. Great question. Thank you. By the way, I'll see you in Miami on Friday at 5 p.m.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Cool.
Looking forward to hanging out with anybody else that's in Florida. Jamil and I are heading out to Miami for a speaking engagement, and we're going to be doing a meetup on Friday night, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Victor the Connector, what's up, bro? How you doing?
How you doing, Pace? Hey, let me first of all let me thank you for everything. The community itself is one of a kind. I actually reached out to several sub-2 family members, and we got ourselves a 120-acre deal here in Dallas, lakefront property. We're going to do a new master development. So thank you.
A bastard development?
Master.
Oh, I'm like, damn, that sounds aggressive, man.
So
a master development. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I started with a single family, was moving moving towards the multifamily, right? And my partner came with me with 120 acres. And he said, hey, I need some help fundraising, capital raising some money. So I reached out to several people, and I just said, I just joined sub-2. So I hit sub-2 with the Gator lenders, and boom, we got the earnest money. We got the deal, and it's going along. We should be closing hopefully very soon.
You know what's funny, Victor, is when I created the Gator lending tribe, people are like, what is he doing now? And I'm like, you just wait. I promise you somebody in the future is going to thank me on an open Zoom.
I'm thanking you, man. I thank you so much. It's going to be almost to a generational wealth, because it's just a new mindset now. Because this first development, you're learning everything, the do's, the don'ts, you're tripping over yourself, right? But now you're knowing the process, you're making process, your checkpoints and everything else. And now you're able to go back and multiply.
Yeah.
And so that's the next step for us, is go back and look for some more land. We have an opportunity of looking at a 1,300 acres to go back and do another development portion on it. So we're looking to do multifamily, commercial, industrial, residential. So whoever wants to know more about it, hit me up, and then we can talk more about it. But Pace, thank you for everything. You have done an amazing job. All the knowledge that you give, it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Nothing. I just want to say thanks. Thanks for saying thanks. I appreciate it. I live on I will work for compliments. Thank you so much.
But one of the things that I was going to go back and help other new investors who are coming into the community, how do you go back and ask for money? And a lot of times they don't understand that. You can go back and do a pitch deck or a term sheet, or giving them.
Hold on, let's be specific, because I like where you're going, but let's make sure people understand what you're laying down, because you're laying down some good stuff.
Okay.
Your question is, how does a new person ask for private money?
Yes.
Okay.
So whenever you go back and get a deal, you get a lead, you got to do your due diligence, and it's only a lead until you go back and get the contract so you can get a deal. So a lot of times you always have to do creative side, which is, that's one of the main reasons why I joined Sub2. I actually saw you at 10X with you and Jamil on the stage with Pete. So I was actually going to do another mentorship with another person there at 10X, but for some reason, y'all two just showed up and changed my mind. So thank you.
How great has it been, man?
Oh, come on, dude. I met you twice already. I joined in May on a Monday, and then I met you on a Friday. Also, Mr. Scott Horn at the same time. you actually signed my book. So it's been a great ride. And the community, the friends, the family, it's been awesome. And if anybody out there who doesn't realize how important the community is, this is the community that you need to be in. I've been in other communities. I'm just in sub 2, but by far, this one, that you go back and I have already received like 10 new members in my phone, my Instagram, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my phone numbers, everything else.
And the great thing is that you get to make money with each other, and it's a community of like-minded people that have been filtered out. Like we have very, very, very few, if any, people that are not a good fit. Like it is an amazing environment to work with. Look at Justin Tumanowski right there out of the Boston area. Like it's amazing to see how many of our students are helping new students get their first deal. Absolutely. Where like most mentorships are just a bunch of recordings. Our mentorship is a community of people helping the next wave of people coming in get their first deal. Here you are locking up a deal with 120 acres and you're doing it with people inside the community.
You can't get that anywhere else. I'm sorry.
No.
I tried. I even called them first. They didn't answer the phone. They didn't want to go back and do it. I was like, okay, next. So
like, see ya.
So, anybody who's listening and they're wanting to go back, and you need to get with the community. Go on your Facebook, go on Instagram, follow people, connect, go on the chat. It's a gold mine out there. How many times have you said, Pace, the money's there. You just have to freaking ask for it.
I mean, it's funny, Victor, we did the math on it. This about 45 days ago. We found out with every 250 students, there's about $15 million in private capital.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy because everybody's like, what book should I read to raise private capital? What video should I watch to raise private capital? I'm like, just come into one of my Zooms. That's how you raise capital, dude. And it legit, if you're a sub 2 student, there's some newer students that have just joined in the last couple of days. If raising capital is not on your radar, it needs to be, because you will never become a multi-millionaire without understanding how to raise money. And so inside of sub 2, every 250 students that this is why Victor is a genius, because Victor the Connector, it's pretty important. He's got his phone number on his screen. Very important. Every 250 students that join our program, there's a collective $15 million in private capital. And it's money that they're like, I'm waiting to deploy it. I'm waiting to be involved in a deal. I want to be involved in Victor's master plan community. I want to be involved in Victor's next 1,300 acre community. Like, this is the easiest place to raise capital on planet Earth.
And thank you for that, because, it's because of you, because you give so much hope for everybody else, because you simplify everything, because everybody tends to overcomplicate some of the simplest stuff that it goes out there to get a freaking deal. It's not that hard, guys. Just keep it simple. That's all you got to do, is just keep it simple. And if you don't know, team up with somebody. You know how many sub 2 students there is from coast to coast? There's plenty.
That's a good number. Next time somebody asks me, how many students are there? I'll say there's plenty.
There is, look, like here, there's plenty to go around. There's plenty to go around.
I'm going to be coming. I'll be in Texas in about 3 weeks, so hopefully I can see you. I'm going to be going to Corpus Christi, San Angelo, Dallas, visiting some multifamily stuff. I might swing through Houston. So I definitely will see all you guys, you Texans. I'll see you guys out there. Victor, I'm so proud of you, bro. I love watching you work. I love watching you connect with people. People love them some Victor.
The connector. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
So, Ingrid says, I didn't know this was a mixed Zoom. My students are so used to not doing it. Ingrid, you came late, or you didn't watch you must have gotten the link from Melissa. You probably got the link from Melissa. I've been talking about it on my Instagram stories today. I'm going to be on Bigger Pockets panel in about 3 weeks over in, she was W2ing. Got it. I know what that feels like. So I'm going to be on Bigger Pockets, BPCon on a panel, and I'm going to be speaking for about 45 minutes with Jamil, Jerry, Brent, and myself back to back to back to back on one of the days. It's going to be epic. And I told Bigger Pockets I want to spend more time with the panelists because getting on a panel doesn't really give you a lot of time with each other. And so I said, hey, connect me with everybody. I'll do a live Zoom kind of promoting Bigger Pockets. And they go, it's already sold out. And I go, well, that's not going to stop me. I don't care about selling tickets. I just want to get people this amazing knowledge. So that's why I went live today. I posted on my Instagram stories. Just wanted to give people some recognition, show Scott Horn some love. I know Scott Horn made you a bunch of money recently, Ingrid. But I have a flight I got to catch. Guys, I was going to do my Q&A tonight, but a whole bunch of things got changed around with my schedule. So I'm flying out to Miami. Who's going to see me at Scale and Escape, by the way? Should be, I think there's a little over 120 of our sub 2 students that are coming out there. Virtually. Love it. Julian, good to see you. I'm going to be in Miami this weekend, and I'm going to be in Atlanta next weekend. Okay. We're going to be doing a little party. Big boy from Outcast right here is going to be hanging out with us in Atlanta, visiting a couple properties that I've partnered with him on. Super excited about that. So I'll see you guys in Miami this week. And then next week, we'll do a big Atlanta meetup as well. So if you guys are in Atlanta, I'm not only going to go for Avengers Mastermind, which is a mastermind I'm participating in, but I'll also be doing an Atlanta meetup with all the sub 2 students. So all my sub 2 students, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. I will see you guys. Let's see. I think I have a couple more Zooms this week. Molly is going to be doing a Zoom tomorrow, talking about a couple of deals I'm doing. We've got multiple Zooms throughout the rest of the week. So I'll definitely see you guys multiple times. So love you guys. Appreciate you guys.